G'day fellas, and welcome to the very first guide for Age of Mythology Retold. Today we're looking at one of the most powerful opening build orders for the Greeks, and that is unique to Hades. Today we're going to be taking advantage of the Vaults of Erebus tech. Every civilization, well, give me a second here, I've got to play it so that we can open the tech tree so it pauses. So every civilization has unique bonuses, obviously god powers, but they've also got unique technologies. So as an example, Poseidon has got access to Lord of Horses, whereas Hades has got access to Vaults of Erebus. So Hades vaults provide a steady, endless income of gold. It is a trickle of 2.0 gold per second for the rest of the game. Now, for anybody wondering exactly how significant that is, it's massive. It's absolutely huge, and that's why this build order, in my opinion, is just the default Hades opening. Now, I will also caveat by saying it does take a little bit of practice. It's not going to be something you're able to do the very first time you try it. So in saying that, if you are interested in learning or playing Hades, please go study this. Let's get into it. So having a brief little look here at the overview, if you want, take a screenshot of this and you can keep it up on your screen or whatever you want to do, or refer back to it. That's what we're going to be referring to. So I'll move it over onto my second monitor and let's talk a little bit about this opening. So 2 vils to food, 2 vils to gold to start off with. I like to just put them over onto the resource and then add in my granary and my storehouse later. Now, technically, I could have gone for a super duper good storehouse here. I didn't do it just because I wanted to preserve the integrity of the opening and just show you guys how that is. So the next thing that we're doing here is we're adding 2 vils over onto wood. So the first vil is going to go out and build that storehouse. And one of the things I like to do is I like to actually split up my vils on wood, because we're going to be needing a lot of wood in this opening to take advantage of that Vaults of Erebus tech. So now that we've got 2 vils over on wood, 1 villager is going to come out over onto gold. You can see that we're taking advantage of our town center's attacks and looking to take out any of the deers when they do come close to the granary. We want to make sure, even though they're on the ground and technically they're decaying, we still take advantage of them being close here to the granary so that it makes our villagers a little bit easier with regard to the drop-off. So now that we move on to the next stage of the build order, I'm actually just going to bring back in this bad boy right here, the Vaults of Erebus Hades Age Up. So here we are at this stage. So 1 vil's gone to gold, 1 vil now coming out to wood. So we're going to continue on from here. And now we're going to rally out over onto food. And one of the things that we're going to be doing is paying attention to our gold. We're going to do a force hand in when our gold is at 2,900. And we put down the temple with all 3 villagers straight away. And as soon as they've finished building that temple, we're going to immediately task them on to the temple straight away. So they'll do that by default. The other thing to note is this is where it sort of takes a little bit of skill. You can see at the moment we've only got 17 food in the bank. Now, with that, what's going to happen is our town center is not going to create any villages unless we do a force drop-off, because each of these villas has a decent amount of food in it, but as you'll see, the villager is about to pop out, so we have to do a force drop-off. So what that means is we just watch our villagers, basically. We pay attention to them, and the moment that villager is about to come out, we just hand in. You'll only have to do it for about 2 or 3 villagers. After that, we're going to right-click the Vaults of Erebus technology so that as soon as we've got the resources, it's going to come online. And now that we've got 5 villagers here on food, so we've rallied out 3 vils onto food, we're going to send 1 vil to gather favor. So that's going to be 4 vils in total over on the temple here. We're getting very close to our villager limit. You can see we're at 13 of 15 at the moment. So you will need to keep an eye on that, because we will be building a house, and we'll be building it very, very quickly, rushing it up. And now that we've got that 1 vil over onto the temple, we're just sending back all of the rest of the vils. So pretty simple opening, 2 food and 2 gold at the start, then 2 out to wood, 1 to gold, 1 to food, and then pretty much all the rest of them are out to food, with the exception of that 1 who's going to go out there. And because we've got that Vaults of Erebus technology right-clicked, they're immediately going to be able to start researching it. Once we've got the technology researching, we're going to transition our vils and we're going to rush up a house here. Don't be too fussed about having idle time as well with the town center. You can normally afford to get a couple of seconds of idle time here. So you can see that I think we're idle probably for about a second there. But we've got quite a few villagers out here at the moment gathering up. And we're very, very quickly going to be approaching our age up. Our age up is at 18 population. So one of the things I like to do is with your town center, you'll have your auto queue on. What I like to do is when I get to 17 population out of 25, I right click the town center or the auto queue button, so I know that no further vil is going to be trained. And just like before when we were doing that forced drop-off for the villagers, we're going to do the same thing here. So I'll pause, and you can see all the villagers are now dropping in their food. We're at 419. We just managed to cross the threshold and send our vills straight back over to food, and the age up now comes through with Athena. So you can see it's a pretty competitive time, around 325. Sometimes I can pull it around 320, depending on if you've got a good spawn. And I'm sure if you took advantage of having that second storehouse up, you would be in a great spot. So now we get to the transition period. If you've made it to here, this is a decent spot that you're going to find yourself in. But where do you go from here? Now, it depends on your play style. Maybe you're playing in a multiplayer game, or in rather a 2v2 or 3v3, and you want to play Cav, or you want to play archers. I'm going to show you a 1v1 strategy that you'll be able to pull off. So if you're not interested in the strategy component of it, then you can pretty much click off here. If you're interested in that strategy component of it, let's continue on. So we're going to rebalance our vills after Ajax is queued. That's going to be really important. So one of the things that we do here is we look to get that early Ajax out. He's going to need to cost us 100 food, 50 wood. So we're doing forced drop-offs once again. And once we've got that forced drop-off, then we're going to be moving 6 vills over towards our other resources. 1 is going to go over onto favor, 3 over onto gold, and then 2 over onto wood. So that is our transition. And our vills are, as you can see, they've run out of a hunt. So I'm going to put them onto chickens. Realistically, it's up to you how you want to do it. So I have this hunt behind my base, but not every game that I play, I'm going to have that. So I like moving over to chickens just as in the interim. I think it makes a lot of sense because it's quite safe. And realistically, you never know what kind of opening your opponent is going to go. And they can go for a pretty aggressive opening, even at this stage, 352. You could have units in your base. So Ajax is now going to be coming out. Our vills are 8531. So you'll see 853 and... Wait, is that the Norse? Is he 853? Hold on, is this flipped or something? No, we do have 8531. It's just these guys are building the granary. I was impressed there. The Norse was following the build order perfectly. Good job, brother. So Athena about to come through. So what we're going to be doing is hitting our opponent with the timing. So we're going to send Ajax in straight away. You got options here. You can just go for vills if you want, or you can just look to begin harassing down buildings and try and get a response out from your enemy. As soon as you age up, 2 stables going to come down straight away with your wood vills, march that Minotaur over, and queue up your next hero. It's going to be Achilles that is coming out. From here, we're going to rally the town center over to gold. And that is pretty much it. Now, as I said, it's up to you how you want to play it. For me, I love playing with a double stable opening because I feel like cavalry are definitely one of the best units in the game at the moment, especially in the early game. There's really not a whole lot to do against them, and you've always got the option of training archers in the event that your opponent starts actually training hard counters. So Ajax is out here, Minotaur's out here, Achilles about to be running out here very, very quickly as well. I guess you could also look to pick up relics. We're not going to do that. We're just going to march down the middle of the map. And now that we've bought ourselves a little bit of space, it's time for us to transition over onto that second hunt. And so from here, it's not that I'm freestyling, but it is very much, feeling it out. The instructions are clear, right? You just rally over onto gold, and slowly and steadily you're going to be gathering in that gold, and it's going to be increasing over time. And keep in mind, we've got double stable here, so this is going to be expensive on the gold front, and that's where the Vaults of Erebus really comes in with its strength, because I'll just pause it here just to show you how powerful the Vaults of Erebus is. Each one of these villages gathers at 0.85 per second. The Vaults of Erebus is the equivalent of 2.5 villages. That is incredible. That is insane. That is so much. No other civ even gets close to that. There's one civ that gets something similar. If I remember correctly, it's going to be, I think is it Isis? Yeah, Isis gets the Flood of the Nile. So Isis gets a trickle of 1 food. That's it. Just 1 food. Look, it's still, it's not bad, but hey, compared to Vaults of Erebus, it is absolutely, I'm not interested. So at this stage of the game, the general game plan is that we continue training cavalry. We be annoying to our opponent. I'm playing this game right here against an AI because that way it's a preserved environment, an environment that I know I'm not going to have to deal with things like raids on my gold mine. And of course, in the games that we play, we may have to deal with those. But I'm attempting to show you what a game would look like from a structured perspective. So I hope you can appreciate that. So realistically, just looking to try and force the opponent off hunts, and do a little bit of damage. And the one key thing here is that we don't want to engage. We don't really want to fight with the enemy. We can pick off a unit here or there, but we want to avoid fighting altogether because the goal here is that we want to look for the heroic age. So one of the things that we're going to do is when we start to see our gold stacking up, so when it comes to our macro, we'll eventually realize at one point, like, hold on a minute, I got a lot of gold sitting here in my stockpile. What am I going to do with all this gold? What am I going to do with all these villagers gathering gold? And we're going to transition them. So this is the big transition that comes in. 8 vills coming off gold here. I'm going to move down over to a secondary hunt. Doesn't really matter where it is. You know, it could have been up over here where the pigs are, or it could have been out over to the west. All that matters is you've got that hunt that's now coming through. We need a lot of food income now because we're going to be looking to get to that heroic age. Once we're in the heroic age, it's really, really quite straightforward. We're going to be looking to go for a pretty good, I always call it team fight. I guess, you know, having a bit of a MOBA background, and not necessarily a MOBA background, but playing a lot of team games. You know, I always refer to it as team fights, but you know, those big fights that you have, we're going to be moving into Aphrodite. So once again, you can see that we're balancing this based on our macro. So we're approaching that 500 gold. That's all we need. We don't need any more than that to age up. So we're just going to continue pulling vills off our food, but rallying out onto the gold because we still want to make sure that we have gold to come through. So at the 7-minute mark, 7.5-minute mark, we start pulling back our vills. A little bit of, oh gosh, I didn't even realize this was happening. Look at all these guys just chilling out. No wonder I was sitting here wondering where all my damn food was. These guys were all hogging it. You got to watch out for that. But I mean, to be fair, I don't know what you can really do. You shouldn't have to micromanage each of your individual villagers to make sure they're actually doing their jobs. You know, this is why you know, bosses are against working from home, because then this happens. I'm just kidding. I'm all about working from home, bro. Settle down. Anyway, so age up about to come through. We've dropped the armory in the back of the base, and the age up is now on the way. A little bit after the 8-minute mark, so definitely not the fastest. We probably could have cracked that in, you know, maybe before the 8-minute mark, even as early as the 7:30 I've done before. But the age up is now coming through Aphrodite, and what we're looking to do, transition villagers over onto gold, transition villagers over onto our temple, because we are going to play into the Nemean Lion heavily here. That's the game plan. In the event that you're on the defense here, we need to do everything that we can to stay alive until we get to Nemean Lion. So that would mean moving back our villagers from that hunt at the front, exactly the way that we've done it here. Maybe moving these wood vills back over towards this position, making sure that we just stay alive. That's really important, and ideally avoiding a fight. If we are going to get a fight going, we want to try and bring our army towards the back of the base as much as we possibly can. If we need to use a restoration, that's also a valid choice, because as soon as we age up, we're going to have access to Curse from Aphrodite. We're also going to have access to our first Nemean Lion, and then eventually we'll have our second Nemean Lion, and our Nemean Rex upgrade will be coming through, and that's what we're looking to do here. So we've now got the Nemean Rex upgrade on the way, the Roar of Orthus. And then we're also training a second Nemean Lion. Really, really important, because these guys are incredible. These guys single-handedly can win you games. Now, one of the tips I would give you for these is just like with the town center. By the way, I forgot to mention, in the event that you turn off auto queue in the town center before your age up, make sure you turn it back on during the transition period, because one of the things that you will forget to do is that. And then you'll go, hold on a minute, why don't I have any villagers training? Oh, no. Happens to the best of us, don't worry. So just keep that in mind. With the Nemean Lion, I encourage you to do the same thing. Actually turn off the auto roar, because if you do that, or if you don't do that, what's going to happen is they're going to stack up their roars. So when a roar happens, it's going to stun the enemy for, let's say, 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds, somewhere in that region. And if you have all your lions at the front and they all conduct roars at the same time, it's just going to stack up. And you've got to remember that when it comes to the stuns, they don't what's the word? It's not progressive. They are all served at the same time. So we want to make sure that we are staggering those stuns as much as we can. I like to keep them in a separate control group, my Nemean Rexes as well. And now what we're doing is we're looking forward. We're scouting here at the moment, and this is where we're going to be finding that big roar. First one comes in, big roar. We're going to hit him with a curse as well, and then the second one is going to be looking for that roar as well afterwards. And you can see at this point, obviously the AI doesn't really put up much of a fight. We're more just giving you as an example of what it can look like. But that is essentially it. I'll flash up onto the screen once again what the Vaults of Erebus Hades age up looks like. If you want to take a screenshot, I'm not going to leave a link in the comments because, well, you guys can take a screenshot. You know how to do that. So that's pretty much it. That's the way it goes. I know that a lot of people have been doing age ups without Vaults of Erebus, so I wanted to sort of get this one out there because I know that Hades is very popular. It's one of the best civs at the moment, and you've got a really nice transition into archers in the mid game, so that's another good thing to look out for because you've got free ballistics. So try and take advantage of that. But yeah, other than that, if you've got any questions, I'll make sure that I'm lurking down in the comments and having a look. Yeah, we'll catch you in the next one. And this, of course, will be part of a series on every single civilization and their openings, or at least the most optimal opening I could find.